All right.
Okay.
Great. I see the participants joining. Hello, everyone. Happy Independent Bookstore Day. Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
I'm Samantha. I'm the program director of Independent Bookstore Day, and we're just so happy to have Lisa with us today. She is the New York Times bestselling illustrator, author, and cartoonist. Her picture books include The Airport Book, How to Be Mummy Cat by Marcus Ewart, Emily's Blue Period by Kathleen Daly, and The Too Much Sisters by Carol Brendler, among others. Her newest book for adults is Long Story Short, which is hilarious and near and dear to my heart. She is married to the novelist Daniel Handler, and they live together with their teenage son here in San Francisco. And she's also a teacher in the illustration department at the California College of Arts. Oh, there's Long Story Short.
Here's Long Story Short.
It's so good and funny, and I just love it.
Here's The Phantom Twin, which is my first graphic novel, which is also out.
Right. Wonderful. And do you have a copy of Goldfish Ghost there that you can show people?
Boom, boom.
There it is.
Yeah.
Great. So I'm going to let you take it away. And if you have any questions, people watching this, please just ask them in the Q&A and we will get to them at the end.
Terrific.
Thank you.
So I was going to do a little drawing lesson about Goldfish Ghost. Goldfish Ghost is a book written by Lemony Snicket and illustrated by me. Lemony Snicket is best known for a series of unfortunate events, but there's no real unfortunate event in this. So I'm going to turn this crazy phone around so you can see my drawing table. And that's what I want to figure out how to do. Well, bear with me. Here's my piece of paper. And it looks like you can see my piece of paper pretty well. All right. So those of you who would like to draw Goldfish Ghost, I'm going to use this crazy pen that has a little brush on the end. And let's see if I can move this up so you can see more of my paper. There you go. When I draw Goldfish Ghost, I like to start with a circle. It's that easy. In fact, there's another circle here, which is the eye of Goldfish Ghost. And you can see it looks like it's on the bottom because he's upside down. Oh my goodness, yet another circle. So there's 3 circles, and this one you color in. And look, it's an eye. Let's give him a little smile, which looks like a frown because he's upside down. Now, Goldfish Ghost stays upside down the whole book because goldfish, when they pass away, tend to float on their bellies. And he passed away and became a ghost. So that's good luck. He didn't get flushed down the toilet. He became a ghost. Now I'm going to do his little fins, which are basically ovals. 1 oval, 2 ovals. And then he has other fins up here and down there, which are basically triangles. And now I do a little line, line, line for his fins. Line, line, line. More lines. More lines. And fish have gills. That's how they breathe. So there are the gills. And there's Goldfish Ghost. Let's float him on top of his fish bowl. He's going on a journey, so he's leaving his bowl. Let's put some water in the bowl. And I like to use watercolors, which are in this very messy palette. Here's some water color of water. That water seems a little dark, so I'm just going to put a little more. Uh-oh, there's a drop of water up in the sky. Maybe he's splashing. Should I make it look like a splash? I'll make it more like a splash. What I like about watercolors and what I like about art is sometimes you mess up. There's a little accident, but they can turn into something special that you hadn't thought of before. So this is very watery water. Now in the story, Goldfish Ghost travels to a haunted lighthouse. Whoop, I want to see myself better. I can't. That's okay. Here's our haunted lighthouse. Now, I love lighthouses so much. I love being on the shore of a body of water, like Ocean Beach or the Atlantic, where I grew up on the East Coast. And lighthouses shine a light out to sea so that ships in the fog or storms can see their way safely to shore. And there's often a lighthouse keeper, especially in the past, that lived there to tend the light. Let's give it a little flag. The light is in here. It's a huge lens. And now let's put some windows. So a lighthouse keeper can actually live in the lighthouse, which is pretty lonely. They're usually alone on the shore. Sometimes they're on an island. But I like to be alone because I like to think, and I feel creative when I'm alone, and I think a lot. And I like to observe things, which is a good way how to learn how to draw, is just to look. Here, let's put some lonely seagrass there. And I'm gonna make some color in there. I'm quite fond of a red door. So I'm gonna put a little red door in there. And let's make the flag, how about turquoise? Turquoise is a nice color. I'm going to put some shading on the lighthouse. We'll do sort of a sandy ground here. Whoops. Now there's a little bleeding that happens from the water because it's still wet and there's some red in the sand. But let's pretend that's like a little reflection. And let's turn on the light. And let's let the light shine. I'm cleaning my brush in between so there's not too many colors. To light the way for the boats at sea. Like a day like today in San Francisco is very foggy and smoky. So a boat would need to shine. And let's have a little, before I stop, Goldfish Ghost trying to float his way to the lighthouse. So this lighthouse in the book is haunted by the ghost of the lighthouse keeper. And she's lonely, and Goldfish Ghost is lonely. But together, they will not be lonely. And there he goes. So I think maybe this is time for questions. I'm going to turn my phone carefully back around on my little stand. Whoop.
Hi, thank you. That was so great. I just want to show off my version.
Oh, you were drawing along with me.
I did, of course I did. I only had a gray Sharpie, so it's not very colorful, but I as someone who is not an artist, a visual artist, and can't really draw, it's kind of amazing when someone takes you through step by step. So we have a few questions here. Sarah wants to know what your favorite thing to draw is.
That is a really good question. I'm trying to think. It depends. Lately, so I draw just about every day in a sketchbook, and I go through phases. So it reminds me when I was little, I would fill up sketchbooks with things. And so I would say like, okay, now for the next month, I'm going to draw just baby animals or princesses. Lately, I've been drawing ladies with funny hair. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And
fonts.
I often do this while I'm watching television, which is pretty funny. Here's a lot of funny hair.
Oh, that's so cool.
And I don't know why, I think I liked doing like the hair parts. It feels very meditative. Here's even more. So it's a bit goofy.
That's so cool. Thea just wants to know what that type of pen was that you were using.
It is a Pentel pocket pen,
Mm-hmm.
and it is a brush pen. So there's ink inside of it that you can replace. I'm opening it up, and this ink is almost out, so I'm going to have to replace it. And I use many different versions of this pen. This one's a little bit thicker. It's from Japan, and but I get it at the Japanese stationery store in San Francisco.
Oh yes, I know that place.
And it's a wonderful store. It's in Japantown. Here's another version with a thinner point.
Okay.
Sometimes for my books, I use this brush. And I use just ink and a brush, old school.
So Ellen wants to know how you first got into illustration.
Probably drawing baby animals every day. So I always loved to draw when I was very, very little. And I always took art classes. In college, I did a weekly cartoon in the college newspaper. So I was doing a lot of cartooning. And then for graduate school, I decided to get a degree in graphic design so I could get a real life job. And but I still illustrated all the time, and graphic design is very much like illustration because it's about communicating visually. And eventually I just started concentrating only on illustration.
And what was your first job as an illustrator? Your first project?
I did many different little projects. I worked for a magazine and I did a lot of illustrations for that magazine in the early 90s. So that might be my first paid project.
Okay.
My first book was called How to Be.
Clementine wants to know, how did you come up with all these ideas?
Oh my goodness. You know, I'm inspired by a lot of things. I'm inspired by books. I'm inspired by other people's art. I'm inspired by taking walks and seeing what I see. In the summers, I live near a lighthouse, and so I'm very interested in lighthouses, and that's one thing I put in my book. Just from real life, I've had a lot of goldfish, and they have all died, some quicker than others. And so I was thinking about how I loved my goldfish and what it would be like if that goldfish became a ghost. So things like that inspire me. My graphic, the long story short is about classic literature. So I do comics and I condense classic books into 3 panels. And I am inspired by the books I love to read.
And Elizabeth wants to know, what's the best skill or fact to learn for those who want to draw better?
Oh, the best fact is to practice. And the second best fact is to look. So to observe things, to try to draw them, and to practice. And what you're going to observe besides real life is how other people draw, and make that your own. But when I start to draw, when I draw every day, I feel like I'm getting better at drawing.
Ronnie wants to know, do you still have doubts or insecurities about your art or skills? And if so, how do you overcome those feelings?
I have them probably every day. I'm very insecure, and I've not yet met any artist who is not insecure about their own work. So I'm in very good company. And how do I get over it? I just, I have to be brave. And you have to make mistakes. And it's really nice when people like your work. That feels very, very good. So you just keep that in mind and show it to other people, and hopefully they'll like it. But it doesn't really matter if anyone likes it but yourself, honestly.
Wesley asks, how do you draw all those book pictures in one day? I bet you don't draw them all in one day.
I do not. They take a really long time. So it takes months and months of planning it out and sketching it out. And then the final art will take maybe a month or 2. So it takes a really long time. I mess up, I do it again. I mess up, I do it again. Books take a really long time. And then once you're done with the book, it takes a really long time to be printed and put together by the publisher. So sometimes you finish a book and you don't see it until a year later, and that feels very frustrating, but that's the way it goes.
I actually have a question. When you collaborate with an author, so they write the words and you do the illustrations, is what the illustrations will be totally up to you, or how do you work with the writer to make the book flow and work?
Yeah. Often I do not talk to the writer. It's really good when I'm starting to work on a book, I'm starting with a publishing house. So I have an editor, and the editor is like the team's coach. We're a team. The editor, the art director who helps put the book together, the author, and the illustrator. And so we all have to act as a team, and we all have to make compromises. And the editor is our main coach who tries to balance the art and the writing. I'm really lucky because I know some of my collaborators really well. So with Marcus Ewart, with whom I worked on Mummy Cat, we actually spent a lot of time together coming up with the art and the story together, which is really rare treat. There are other books that I've never met the author, and I take their text and I make it my own, and then the editor sort of goes between us.
Mirav wants to know, what is your color palette like? Do you mostly use pastels or darker colors?
I mostly use light pastels. I'm gonna grab a little palette. I don't know if you can see that, that I use a lot. So whenever I do a book, I plan out a different little palette of the colors I'm gonna use, and I guess they're pretty bright. But when I use them, they're watercolor, so they come out pretty transparent, as you can see here. I'll show you a page from the book. They are from this book, what the palette looks like. There's a lot of blues because we're at the seashore. There's some browns because the seashore has a lot of sand and wood. And it's a pretty quiet story, so the colors are pretty quiet.
Great. We have about a little under 5 minutes left. Is there another quick drawing illustration you could do to take us out, either from Goldfish Ghost or from you know?
You know, do a lady with funny hair.
Oh yeah, that's great. Let's do a lady with funny hair.
All right, let's turn me around. Hello. My funny little armature.
And also, just one last thing is Sophia just wants to know how long you've been drawing.
How long I've been drawing? Since I was a year old. But professionally, how long I've been drawing picture books, I think that'll work, is I know it because my first picture book was published right near when my son was born, and he is 16. So 16 years of picture books.
Uh-huh.
So I usually start with the funny hair, and then I put a face underneath. I'm very fond of ears. Now you're not going to see the nose because this person's going outside. So they're going to wear a mask. And then my favorite part is to decorate the hair with like little lines. I don't know if this is a lady or a man. It's just someone with crazy hair. And I'm happy to answer any other questions that come in while I'm doing my crazy hair drawing, if there are any.
Someone asks, what inspires you?
Oh, so many things. So many books and art, like at a museum. I can't go to a museum right now, but I look at a lot of people's art online. And there are a lot of museums who put art online. And I get obsessed with different artists all the time. Right now, my obsession is an artist who's no longer with us, whose name is Jacob Lawrence. And he did a beautiful series of paintings about the Great Migration, which is when Black people in the United States moved from the South to the North in great numbers to escape Jim Crow. Jim Crow in the South. And his work is very energetic and colorful and very, very beautiful.
Do you ever copy artists you love to try and learn some of their techniques?
Absolutely. When I was starting out, or even in high school, one of my favorite artists is named Edward Gorey, and he did a lot of things with cross-hatching and black and white ink drawings, and so I did a lot of those. And cross-hatching is shading, I'll show you, by making lines and then crossing them with other lines. And he was very, very good at cross-hatching. So I absolutely go to other artists for inspiration, and I don't directly copy them, but I take things that they do and I try them.
Okay, so that's about it time-wise. I love her crazy hair, or hers or his, I'm not sure. Victoria.
Their crazy hair.
Their crazy hair. RJ just wants to say that he really likes your art.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you so much, Lisa, and for being here with us and for helping us celebrate Independent Bookstore Day.
Hooray
Next up,
for independent.
hooray. Next up, we have an event with Jean Luen Yang, who's going to be talking about graphic novels and also doing a drawing demonstration. So if you're on this event and you want to do some more drawing, please hop over to that event. And all of Lisa's books, both for adults and children, are available at your local independent bookstore. And check them out because her books are great and her art is great. And thank you so much.
And go see Gene Yang. He is a superstar. Hi,
Okay.
Gene. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.